Well, everyone, Halloween is just a week away and I'm already in the holiday spirit. No, I don't mean the Christmas type, I mean the Halloween type. The one thing I love about Halloween are the movies that are perfect to watch in October. I would always have a marathon of movies that either takes place in Halloween time or just horror movies like The Shining, Paranormal Activity, Psycho, Gremlins, and Ghostbusters. But then a couple years ago, I started to wonder, what got me into these type of movies that made me love Halloween? It can't be the fact that I love The Walking Dead, because it has more than just zombies in it. Sure, it has its jump scares once in a while, but it always shows bravery, family, and really emotional scenes as well. So, I went deeper into the reasons why Halloween is my favorite holiday. Then I finally found the answer I was looking for. What is it, you may ask? It's none other than the 5th season of Thomas & Friends. I know a lot of fans talked about the season because it's one of the most popular seasons of the show. But I want to share my point of view on the season and how it introduced me to horror movies. Now, let me explain about how I see the season. In 1997, the creator of Thomas and His Friends, Reverend Wilbur Awdry, passed away. So that gave the creator of the show, Brett Allcroft, to get the rest of the rights she wasn't able to get when she started working on the show for over £13.5 million and did something no one at the time saw coming. Instead of continuing adapting the stories from the Railway series, both she, the then director of the show, David Mitton, and the help of David Maidment, wrote their own stories, and boy did it show! Not only did the season have episodes that are colorful and happy plots like the other seasons did, but it definitely had really dark colors and scary plots as well, and I always loved it. I could tell that the three had a blast coming up with most of all 26 episodes of the season, and this was before they allowed more writers to come up with their own stories with seasons 6 to 24. But at the same time, they kept them as close as the way the Railway series books told their stories. When I was just a young lad, I would watch this season over and over again. I loved the dark storytelling most of the episodes gave us. I loved how intense they would be, whether it's for a short moment or the entire episode. I even loved how Alec Baldwin did his narration in the season. Heck, I could tell he had a blast being a narrator in this. But we'll get to that in a minute. What they did was something that no one saw coming, and literally something that kids shows these days wouldn't do, especially where the franchise is at today. The Brenner era tried to make its own scary stories, but it just didn't work because we see what's happening on the screen instead of it staying as a mystery till the very end and turning it down so kids won't be terrified on what's happening and have complaints from angry parents. Don't make me hate you even more, Mattel. Just don't. Anyway, from what I've been hearing from other people in the Thomas fandom, they were terrified from the season because it was something nobody at the time saw coming. The only episode that was like a horror movie and scared kids was a season 2 episode called Ghost Train, or Percy's Ghostly Trip. To me, that shows how much Britt and the two Davids really wanted to make the show better than the previous seasons. Sure, they wrote some episodes before, like All at Sea and Rusty to the Rescue. While they are memorable episodes, they just can't be what they did. I could tell that they put a lot of thought into them and took their time into most of these. If the episode had to be dark, they made it dark. If the episode had to be creepy, they made the episode creepy. Even the little moments seemed to creep me out as a kid. For example, in the episode, when Percy was about to have his rest and then the sound of the children causing a mess at the station, that literally freaked me out a little bit.
Time for a snooze, he thought, but it wasn't.
Just a close-up on both Percy's yawning face and shocked face and the loud noise put together in that 10-second moment made my eyes go wide and question myself if I should be creeped out or not. Another example I can think of is Gordon and the Gremlin. While it is my least favorite episode of the season, I can't help but love this one moment where the dog went through the bush and sees a bull about to attack him and then runs off. Again, that one moment used to kind of freak me out as a kid. But those are non-horror episodes. What about the horror episodes themselves? Well, what can I say? I always thought they were awesome. What Thomas showed me growing up is creativity in storytelling, sets, and character personalities. Season 5 did that, but in a creepy way. In Han and Henry, there's fog everywhere, and a mystery on who's causing these random things to happen that scared the crap out of Henry. But at the end of the episode, it's just old Bailey who tried to warn him and his crew about the dead end, and everything is okay at the end. But the question I always have is, was it really old Bailey who was in the station and turned off the lights? And what was the backstory with the old station that Henry tried to go to? That we will never know, but to come up with our own theories about the episode. Or how about Duncan Gets Spooked, where Rusty tells Duncan about the engine who tried to get through the bridges, but never succeeded and literally fell to his death on camera and said that his spirit tried to get home but never made it. And then the next night, when Duncan was about to cross the bridge, he could see the spirit of the engine and then backed up to get away. But the questions are, was Rusty making this up to see if he can scare Duncan? And if the ghost story is true, then was Duncan actually seeing the spirit of the engine? Or was he just saying things and refused to take a closer look at it? Again, these are questions we will never get and just have to come up with theories about the episode. I've always been some sort of a film expert, whether it's on a movie or a show or even a cartoon my whole life, and pay attention to all the little details on how it's done, like how Spielberg did his movies with his creativity and cleverness, whether if it's a comedy or a drama, and Tarantino with all the angles he does and the wacky action moments he uses, and even how detailed Pixar can be since their very first movie. I mean, look how the old man uses a Q-tip to clean Woody's eye, and you can see the dust being wiped away. That's how good they are with their movies. For season 5, there's no doubt that I've been paying attention with the details the crew's been doing for all 26 episodes. In the episode Thomas, Percy, and Old Slowcoach, we can seriously see the details on the scrapyard with all the engines who used to be on the island, but ended up losing their lives and were put into the place where their parts will be used for something else or be melted down. And in Toby's discovery with the old mine, we can tell that it has been abandoned for a very long time, and you can see all the buildings and the engines being covered up by bushes and trees, which makes it dark and uncomfortable until the very end, where it's now a carnival, which makes it more happy and exciting to see. That's how serious they wanted to make the season more dark than it would have been. If they just went for little details and gave zero craps about it, that wouldn't have worked. Look back in season 4, and you can seriously tell that the set makers cared so much for the show by how realistic it looked and wanted to make season 5 a darker tone and as close as a horror movie can be. And while I'm thinking about it, let's talk about the music. Holy crap! Did Mike and Junior went crazy for the detailed music. If the music had to be terrifying, they made it terrifying. But if the music had to be crazy and wacky, They made sure it's possible. Let's go back to Haunted Henry. While they made the music intense and scary to the point you might end up being at the end of your seat, ready to walk away, the one detail they used were cowbells. I know if that sounds silly and weird, but it's the truth. If you listen carefully, or just listen to the instrumental version of the episode, you can hear the noises of those cowbells being used, and that makes it more intense than it already is. You know how in A Clockwork Orange, where Singing in the Rain was used but in a creepy way, or how in the game Dead Space, where they used old nursery rhymes but in a terrifying way? That's exactly what it's like here. I remember how in Toby's Discovery, when Toby was standing guard for the night, and we can just hear the slow pacing music when all of a sudden a weird screeching noise was heard. This was another short moment that creeped me out as a kid, except I thought it was Bertram who made that noise. But after listening to the music now, I now realize that it's part of the music, and I have no words on it but wow. I wonder if Mike will ever remix those music on his YouTube channel. That I would love to see. So even the small details on the music they did worked so well and can actually scare the crap out of a child, and I love it. You freaking geniuses. I guess the only thing left to talk about in this video is, without a doubt, Alec Baldwin. Funny enough, George Carlin wanted to continue narrating the American version of the show, but due to his tight schedule on being a stand-up comedian, he had to step down. So step in Alec Baldwin. It's funny that no one saw that coming at the time. I mean, what? The guy from Beetlejuice and the worst DreamWorks movie of all time became the second American narrator of the show? Well, yes. While George Carlin has always been my favorite, Baldwin didn't fail to put effort in the season like he did in season 6. The way he did it was perfect in my opinion. He made everyone sound so scared or upset or just be in a very happy mood whenever it was needed. Don't get me wrong, I really like Michael Angelis in the UK version, and he did things his own way before his downfall in the show. But what Baldwin did was perfect. He showed emotion. He gave everyone their own voice, and you could tell he had a blast in the show. I always wondered if he read the scripts of all 26 episodes at night to make him more creepy and pretended it was a horror show. I'm sure Carlin would have tried to make the season creepy like how he did in Ghost Train, but I doubt it'd be as creepy as Baldwin though. While I'm not a fan of Magic Railroad, I will give credit to him actually continuing showing the effort he had in the franchise with all the energy he continued. But it's really sad that he lost all that in season 6 due to his brutal divorce he had with Kim Basinger. I remember as a kid wondering, why was he like that? I knew it was the same guy, but it didn't feel like he was the same narrator as the one in the most intense season of the entire franchise. It's no wonder why fans didn't like him after that and prefers the UK version of the season.
Well, one thing's for sure, said Gordon. He won't choose Dirty Percy.
Don't call me Dirty Percy!
Look, I know not everyone likes Michael Brendan from season 7 to 16, but at least he made sure to make the show exciting and enjoyable like the other narrators did. Season 6, Baldwin was always my least favorite, but at least we can just look back and pretend that season 5 was the only time when he was in the show, like how Pierce Brosnan was in one special and never came back for unknown reasons. Still would have been nice to have him continue being the narrator after Great Discovery. And with that, I think I shared everything on my points of view on the most intense, creepiest, and craziest seasons of all time in Thomas history. If you have a kid, niece, nephew, or even grandchild who loves Thomas very much, then I highly recommend you show the kid this season and see how he or she reacts to it. Because that's what I would do, at least the niece or nephew part. I don't know about having a kid of my own. And that's how the 5th season of Thomas and Friends introduced me to horror movies. See you all next Sunday on the best holiday of the year. Peace! Oh yeah, we saw Stephanie nearly getting killed at the scrap yards and how red it was, meaning how intense it was going to be. How silly of me leaving that out.